Ramona Shelburne, a sight for sore eyes. Good to have you back, Momo. Jackie McMullen, Plasma 4. This is great.
We're getting participation points now?
Look at
Also,
that.
Bill Plaschke and Israel Gutierrez.
Yeah.
Today, NBA teams using virtual reality goggles to evaluate talents. And an NFL coach using a ketchup bottle and how players get the ketchup out to evaluate how they'll be in the league.
I guess they're all playing catch-up.
That's why you don't get
It's
more
Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reale.
And on the third rest day, they rested. Cavs, Celtics back tomorrow. There's a lot for Cleveland to fix. Lots. And there's lots of time to do it. Lots. Jackie McMullen, we'll start with you. Where do you start with the Cavaliers?
Well, I kept hearing them talking about their defense, Tony. Honey, that ship has sailed. Their defensive rating this postseason is 109.1. They've got to outscore Boston to win games. So how do they do that? They've got to get Kyle Korver and Kevin Love better shots. They got to get everybody involved. And you know what else I was thinking about? LeBron James, stop shooting those followaways, even though they're spectacular to watch. Drive to the hole. He averaged 8 free throws a game through the first 2 games, Tony. I expect him to go to the line in this next game a minimum of 12 to 15 times because that's how he takes over games truly. So that's what I expect.
Ramona Shelburne?
Well, look, they've got to get everybody else involved. In the Toronto series, they had 6 players average double figures. In this series, it's just Kevin Love and LeBron. You've got to get the backcourt involved. I mean, right now, it's kind of embarrassing. It's 72-12 between Terry Rozier and Jaylen Brown against George Hill and J.R. Smith. I mean, that's got to change. And I think they know it. J.R. Smith is even on record as saying we've got to help LeBron. So I think LeBron gets those guys involved. He makes a point in the first quarter, getting everyone else involved, and then the rest of the game changes.
So you think it's about the supporting cast. Speaking of supporting cast, Bill Plaschke is Gutierrez.
I get it. Jackie,
All right, Plaschke, how would
I'm
you
not so
fix
sure
it if you're LeBron or Tyronn Lue or whoever's coaching this team?
Well, Jackie Mack, it's not such a great idea LeBron gets to the foul line. He's only 5 for 10, so I don't know if that's going to change anything. But I think that the rest of the Cavs have to look around and they have to stop watching LeBron like the rest of us. And just like J.R. Smith said, they got to stop making him play hero ball. They got to move better without the ball. They were 9 for 35 in the last game on shots that did not involve LeBron. They had 9 turnovers. They're disappearing. They're becoming spectators. They need to get themselves more involved.
Israel Gutierrez.
I am gladly here to support Jackie and Ramona. I also can't wait until I'm smooth enough to criticize somebody by first calling them honey like Jackie did. That's I would say this. I'll say this about the Cavs. I'm with Jackie here, obviously. I have been my whole career, I think. I think LeBron needs to drive the ball more. Boston's doing a great job at making him see bodies and thinking that there's going to be a lot of traffic there, but he needs to fight that and get there anyway. There's a reason J.R. Smith says, hey, he needs to help us help him. And that's because he needs to draw more of that defense. If you look at the numbers, he's been driving less in this series than he has in the first 2 series. And maybe Bill's onto something because that free throw shooting has been pretty awful for this entire playoffs. I don't think, though, I am not going to go that route and say LeBron James is trying to avoid the free throw line. I just think that Celtics defense is tough to navigate when you see all those bodies.
Okay, that's the idea of how the Cavaliers could do it. There's a difference between having the idea on how to do it and then actually enacting and doing it. I think we'll all agree LeBron's going to get to the free throw line magically in Game 3 more than he did in Game 1 and 2. But can the Cavs do the other things they need to do, Jackie?
I think they're capable of it because we've seen, for instance, J.R. Smith. Is there a streakier shooter in the NBA? I cannot think of one right now off the top of my head. He can go for 0 for 7 and then go for 6 for 6 the next night, particularly when he's at home. That's the kind of performance they need. And here's the other thing, Tony, you must never forget with the Celtics. As fun as they are to watch, when they go cold, when they're playing great, they can beat anybody. But when they're cold, they can lose
All right,
to anybody.
so, well, I mean, that's the can. Now, will the Cavs do it in Game 3? And give us a series here, because if they're not going to win Game 3, we don't have a series. So what do you say, Jackie?
I believe the Cavs will win Game 3 at home. They'll be more comfortable at home. I think LeBron senses the urgency. And I think the Celtics get vulnerable on the road. Just look at the numbers.
Israel Gutierrez?
J.R. Smith can give you 0 points and all the losses that you want. But when you win a game, all you need is about 10, 12. That's about it. And so I think him and other guys, George Hill, I think needs to step up and be some sort of a creator. But I think LeBron has another mega game and the Cavs win this time. But
LeBron comes out and empowers everyone in the first quarter. They win Game 3, but that's the only game this series they win.
And Ramona.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a series here, but I think this may be a 5 or 6 game series.
Celtics
Well,
are
I
better,
look forward
people.
to watching
Celtics
it
are better.
tonight. Oh, no, I'm not watching it tonight. Another day off. I'll wait another day, I guess.
Hey, don't complain. I get to come home.
Well, I'm the one who's going to sit here and listen to you guys break it down 5 days in a row. We move on. Rockets-Warriors Sunday, whether Houston's more ISO than Isola again. And this. Houston's small lineup, the Tuck Wagon, as P.J. Tucker called it, in Game 2 +7 in 10 minutes. Golden State's death lineup, rebranded Hampton 5, -18 in 22 minutes. So, Ramona, finish this sentence for me. If the small lineup continues to outplay the death lineup, blank.
We might go 6 games, but I don't think they will. I mean, I hope for our sake, because we've all been looking forward to this as the real NBA Finals, that this does become more of a series. But I really think the Warriors are the same as they've been all year. They're their own worst enemy. In that game, too, they had 7 turnovers in the first quarter. They had 11 in the first half. It set the tone for the entire game, and I don't think they ever really recovered. I mean, Kevin Durant kept them in it, but yes, Houston played better. Of course they did. But this series mostly comes down to the Warriors playing horrible. And I think back in Oracle, in front of their crowd, I think they get it together and they win both these
Let me ask you, Bill. You saw the death lineup got the start. Game 1, starting Game 2. Both games, they weren't in the plus. They were in the minus. So that means Rockets' small lineup, as they call it, is doing something right. And what would that mean for the series if they can continue?
It would mean the Rockets could win the series, but it's not going to happen. I can't imagine Steph Curry would be like this. It's all about Steph Curry at this point. They have to give him more help on defense. He has to find his shot on offense. I think it was legit. People made fun of the reporter's question about whether his injury was affecting him in Game 2. That's a legitimate question, his ankle injury. You have to wonder. He's been the primary defender on 43 plays the first 2 games. That's far more than any of his other teammates. They need to help him out. So I think the Houston lineup could win the series, but I think Curry will come around, and that's not going to happen.
All right, Israel Gutierrez, how about you?
Well, to fill in the blank of your question, I just think Steve Kerr would adjust. I mean, if you remember, the death lineup used to be a finishing thing, not a start of the game thing. So if he wants to bring in different starters, that's great. I do think that the Rockets can continue this type of offense, not necessarily with the big games from Tucker or what have you. They can continue to put a lot of pressure on the Warriors, and the Warriors can have those high turnover, poor shooting games, even in moments of urgency. So I'm not putting past the Rockets to coming in and taking this game and taking back home court advantage, but I would be concerned if I'm the Warriors if Steph Curry continues to struggle, if their defense is somewhat lazy, or if they do have that high turnover game against a team where you should be able to at least not turn over the ball.
How about you, Jackie? What do you see when you see the small lineup has outplayed the death lineup, at least for those minutes they're together?
Well, so I'm going to say that those numbers are a little skewed only in this regard. Game 2 was such a lopsided loss, and to me it looked a little bit like, and they would never admit this, they're like, okay, well this is a loss. I'm not going to get too concerned about it. And I think things went really haywire from there. So honestly, I believe those numbers are a little bit skewed. The numbers that aren't skewed are clearly Steph Curry, 2 for 13 from the three-point line. I think that will improve, not just for him, but when he gets open, he gets pesky on there and he draws defenses out, that's going to help everybody for the Golden State Warriors, not just Steph.
Ashley, can I ask you to repeat the number you had, the number of times Steph Curry's been the lone defender or an isolation play?
43 the first 2 games, more than 15 more than any other player of the Warriors.
Ramona, does that strike you as something that Steve Kerr has to change immediately, or are we going to hope that Curry gets healthier, gets better on the floor? I mean, what is that about?
So here's what's happening. Steph is just a couple weeks off this knee injury, and we're all looking to see, okay, is it the knee? Is it the ankle? We all saw him stretching. He admitted that he tweaked something in Game 1, and then now he's saying, no, I'm just fine. I actually think his legs are not quite under him. He doesn't have his rhythm back, and when you're in isolation and you're having to play defense, like they're targeting him to play defense, you don't have your legs on your at the other end of the court when he's shooting three-pointers. But I've seen enough of Steph over the years to know, you know, when he's not going well, you can tell by whether or not he's able to drive to the rim. He's driving to the rim. He's getting by people this time. He just doesn't have his legs on his outside shot.
What are we talking about come Monday, Jackie? What's going to be the headline after Game 3?
Well, I think it's going to be ISO, not so. That's what I think. Because you know what? For all what we're saying with Houston,
I was expecting Woody Page in Plasma 4. Okay. All right. I'm here for this.
They ISO James Harden. They said we're going to ISO him less. Not really, but so they ISO. They're the 30th in the league again, darling. This is what they were in regular season. This is what they are in postseason. Okay.
Sam's going to get jealous with more of those, Jackie. Last thing, Gutierrez and Plashke. You didn't answer. What are we talking about come Monday?
Oh, I think the Warriors will be back on track, and I think they'll get a really good game from Steph.
Plashke.
Steph has carried them so long. They're going to carry him. They're going to start helping him out on defense. Warriors are going to win. Steph's going to shoot
Momo.
well.
Yeah, I think we're going back to Houston 3-1, and the question is, does Houston believe that they can win a Game 5 at home and then go still make a series of it? I don't see it. I think it's a 5.
Let's move on. We got to talk about last night's hockey game. This was incredible. Let's go around. Who's with me? Round Killorn. He had the game winner for the Lightning. Tampa's power play lethal, so of course the game winner comes after the Caps finally killed one. 6 seconds later, Killorn, great pass from Bluff. What was 2-0 Washington going home is now 2-2 going back to Tampa. Ovechkin called it a missed opportunity, and Tom Wilson said they're optimistic, Capitals. Bill, can the Caps really be optimistic?
I don't see how, and I just realized this morning. The Caps are the worst team with a 2-0 lead in NHL playoff history. I didn't realize that.
You just realized this? Yes, that's what we've been
3-5
talking about every year for the last 17 years of this show.
That exact stat, it's amazing. Anyway, it's unbelievable. The Lightning went more than 20 minutes without even taking a shot, and they won the game. The Caps had 3 consecutive power plays, and the Lightning won the game. I think Ovechkin breaking the stick over the goal was a perfect metaphor for exactly what's happening here. The Caps are collapsing again. They're capping again.
Ramona Shelburne.
Well, look, I think when in playoff hockey, when home ice doesn't matter quite as much in these playoffs. They obviously, it didn't matter as much for the Caps in the first round, right? They came on back. But what they did is open the door for Tampa Bay here, and they've got a hot goalie now. Andrei Vasilevsky's up. There's 38 shots on goal. The only 2 of them got by him, and now they open the door where you look at Tampa Bay now going, oh boy, they're already a good team, and now they got a hot goalie. I think going into this, you missed opportunity. However, you've opened the door and given that team some confidence.
Tampa Bay is a really, really good team. They're quick, and you know what they do better than any team I've seen in the league is they make it so if you cause a mistake in your own end, if you have a turnover in your own end, they're going to capitalize on it. So that's why when you have these one-sided shots, it doesn't matter because Tampa Bay is getting the better opportunities because they're forcing you to turn the puck over in your own zone, and that's what they did to the Boston Bruins as well. If you're the Caps, your own fans are booing you, Tony. Your own fans are booing you. You probably can't wait to get back on the road. I understand why it happens.
They've been burned before. That's where those fans are coming from. They've been burned before.
I get it.
They've also had to miss the Metro going home because they've been burned late in games.
But now you can understand why Ovechkin's swinging that stick.
It can be both that they have they still are optimistic and that it was a missed opportunity because if you look at Bill mentioned the stats with 3 power plays in the first period, never got anything. Had about a 20-minute period there where they didn't even face a shot, didn't win this game. 1 for 10 on the power play in the last 3 games. So it can be a missed opportunity. But as Jackie mentioned, when you've got your home fans booing you in a series that you're only now tied in, it just shows you the fragility of the fan base, which could sort of eke into the players themselves.
I don't know, Bill Plashke.
Izzy, that
I feel like
sounded
it's a
great
missed
when I said it.
opportunity for you when you realize that the Capitals, just now you realize the Capitals aren't so good in the playoffs? You think
No,
that was
the exact stat that they're the worst in history. Who on this panel knew that? Who on this panel knew they were the worst in NHL
Anyone who's been on the show in the last 17 years knows that. We've done this every year. We're taking a break right here.
The worst in NHL history.
Buy or sell is next.
Bill,
Missed opportunity,
Aaron Solomon knows this.
You should be optimistic, though, going into buy or sell. You really should.
Go ahead and call the studio.
Around the Horn is brought to you by Duracell. Trust is power.
Buy or sell?
That's a good question, Mr. Kevin Negandhi. Luka Doncic, quote, we have yet to make this decision. That's the potential number 1 or 2 or 3 pick. Talking about maybe not leaving Europe and jumping to the NBA this year. Ramona, what are you hearing? What are you believing? What are we to buy? What are we to sell?
Well, I'm buying that he has the most leverage of any player in this draft, but I'm selling that he's not coming over to the NBA. The money is just so much different. I mean, if he wants to re-sign with Real Madrid, it's about $3 million a year that he can sign for. In the NBA, it's about 7 or 8, depending on if he goes number 1 or number 2 or number 3. Nobody's passing that up. Plus, he's done everything he's done signals he's coming to the NBA. But when you have leverage, you should certainly use it. So I think he would love to be in Phoenix with his Slovenian national team coach. I don't know about Sacramento or Atlanta, but...
Save the rest for your FaceTime. Bill Plaschke, how about you?
I don't think he wants to go to Sacramento. I think the Kings ought to listen to this. He's only 19. He's a rock star. He's already a millionaire. He's got a ton of leverage. I can totally see him staying over there for another year because he's still so young. Anything to get out of Sacramento. The Kings better draft Bagley.
Okay. Israel Gutierrez?
The more and more I think about it, the more I just think it's him sort of letting Real Madrid down easy. It's just like a free agent saying, oh, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm going to go to this team. You know, it's kind of rude. If he's going to not go to Sacramento, then he'll pull a Steve Francis with Vancouver thing and say, hey, after he gets drafted, pull a, put his up in...
up in arms, yes. His arms up in the air. Right, okay, please, go ahead.
Like he just
we lost Israel. We lost him forever. Go ahead, Jackie.
Well, the ever diplomatic Bill Duffy, who represents Doncic, said we have no problem with Sacramento. So if, in fact, you want out and you don't want it to happen, you have your agent front and center saying this isn't going to happen like Arn Tellem did when Charlotte drafted Kobe Bryant. They're like, don't think he's ever coming to Charlotte. Well, luckily he never was anyway because they were going to trade him for Vlade Divac.
Okay.
But the agent comes out front, so.
Israel, you broke the rule. If you want to be a meme, you're a meme. Yes, there we go. There it is. Israel now forever on the internet saying I'm up in arms while his arms are up. We'll move on. Two more things from the draft combine. Mo Bamba. The longest wingspan ever recorded, 7 foot 10 inches. He could block a three-pointer from both corners at the same time. And also Michael Porter indicating he's the best player in the draft. Quote, I'm the best player in the draft. Bill, buy or sell his confidence, buy or sell that reality.
I'm buying or selling his confidence. It's funny. Josh Rosen says this, and everybody trashes him. But this is the NBA, and I think GMs probably love this. But I'm selling the reality. He was the best player a year ago. He's had back surgery. We don't know what kind of player he is right now.
Israel?
I'm buying both, and I was championing Josh Rosen when he did it, too. I do think before the NCAA season started, he was considered the top prospect. He obviously had back issues, and that sort of set him down. I love the confidence, and if I'm the Cavs sitting there at 8, I hope he falls to me because I know LeBron.
You think he could fall to 8, the Cavaliers?
I don't think he will, but if he can.
No way.
Why
no
does
way.
LeBron care what the
Because
Cavs get?
he used to be, he was the best prospect. He was the best perimeter player in the draft. People have now coming on. They're better players. I don't think he'll go 1. He may not go 2. But I'll be shocked if he doesn't go in the top 5 because he is one of the great talents. It's like Joel Embiid going 3, remember? He should have been 1. We all knew that. It was all about health. The same kind of thing will
And
happen.
Momo?
Look, when he played in the McDonald's All-American game, every NBA scout I talked to said that's the best player in the draft. The only thing that's changed is the back injury, and we don't know how he's going to recover from that. But I think he might still be the best player in the draft, and the team that takes him is the high-risk, high-reward pick right there.
You don't think he
Dallas Mavericks.
Like
Dallas
You
Mavericks.
think Dallas, okay. I mean, that's the top 5. All right, we'll move on. Buy or sell 3. Going to talk about Buck Showalter last night. Going out to change your pitcher during Bogart's home run trot.
Dude.
Oh, it's terrible.
Israel, who did he show up most, Bogarts or his own pitcher, Kevin Gausman?
Well, what he did was show his backside there because that really wasn't a very good move by Buck. That was just a very frustrated manager going out and doing that. Could you imagine Steve Kerr when James Harden is pulling up to shoot a 3, walking past half court to call a timeout? He would get that to very least a technical foul, if not get thrown out of the game.
Jackie?
I think he showed up himself. It's just such poor form, and it shows the frustration of a manager whose team was about to lose a franchise-leading 13th road game in the row. Remember, too, Showalter and the Red Sox have lots of history, and none of it is good. None of it is good.
Ramona?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me when I'm like where Plaschke is in the standings at this stage in the game, and I'm like, can we just get to the showdown? Should I just walk out of here?
Okay.
Wow,
Bill
man.
Plaschke, how are you going to take
He
that?
showed up Bogarts. He should be ashamed of himself. The umpire should have thrown him out of the game for that. You know, everybody wants home run hitters to be classy. How about people being classy once they hit the home runs against them? No wonder the Orioles are 3-17 on the road. Nice
Throw
goal.
him out of the game? You get thrown out of the game for that?
Yes, absolutely.
If we're trying to speed up games, I mean, might as well. Okay.
Nobody could throw at him, Tony. That's the problem, right? No one can throw at him.
Ramona Shelton, Jackie Mack, it's been too long. Let's have a showdown.
Their gas mileage.
Virtual reality goggles. Pistons gave them to prospects at the draft combine to see how they perform in certain NBA situations. A ketchup bottle. Cowboys coach Paul Alexander says he can rule out prospects by how they get ketchup out of the bottle. Ramona, the most sure thing in talent evaluation. Is it virtual reality goggles or a ketchup bottle?
I mean, it's obviously virtual reality goggles, but I think the ketchup bottle is more of a test of how much you like ketchup, because if you like ketchup like I like ketchup, you know about the 57 thing, and that's exactly where you chop to get the ketchup to come out when you can't get it.
But you know what I learned about the 57 thing after I started looking at the whole bottle of ketchup? There's 19 calories per 1 tablespoon of ketchup. If my offensive linemen are eating too much ketchup, I'm going to be worried about how much they weigh.
Ramona,
Sorry.
I respect your opinion on this, but you're talking to the wrong guy. I believe ketchup is an absolute sin against God's creation, the tomato.
What?
We're
We're in agreement. We're in agreement.
Showdown
Oh
2,
my
better
God.
baseball moment from the bad camera angle. The closer that puked but then got 3 outs, or the walk-off 2-run pass ball. Jackie McMullen, go ahead.
Well, we know it's the walk-off 2-run. I know that. But when I see a guy with his back to the mound, coughing up, puking up his guts, and then turns around and has the presence of mind to throw 3 guys and strike them out to win the game. Are you kidding me? I'm taking that all day.
He's puking. Who even wants to touch the ball after he's puking? I mean, like, I don't even want to catch. I don't even want to be the catcher after that.
You are a catcher,
Ramona,
too. Were you?
Love having you back. Jackie Mack, you're a hero for coming back. You're getting the FaceTime.
All right, so I've been out a while. When I left, Brad Stevens was a good coach. Then all of a sudden, overnight, he became a genius who knew everything. And now all of a sudden, he's the overrated guy that even Robert Parrish is taking swipes at. Frank Isola, I expect it from him. I'm just going to tell you something. Brad Stevens wants no part of this. He's irritated by it. He wants to give his... Because there is no such thing as a genius. He's a very fine coach who's still learning. Leave the guy alone.
Jackie, you're the best.
Honey.
The only
Ramona,
thing
you
better
too.
is we told
And
him
Bill